So how vulnerable is our infrastructure to cyber attacks?
It's quite vulnerable today, and a lot of what's going on is that those challenges are getting more serious. We're connecting more things together, we're making it safer and more efficient, but the effect of that is to spread network connection much more broadly. And so, if there is a successful attack, then the risk of it starting in one place and then spreading out is much, much greater. Number two is that we're getting more attacks. We've seen Russian malware inside of electricity substations in the US now. We've seen attacks on oil pipelines or gas pipelines where people are demanding ransomware and other things. Number three is that the sophistication of the attacks is just getting much more serious, and we're seeing attacks coming in via a cell phone that somebody's attached to a substation or things of that kind. So the risks are pretty significant. The upside of the modernization of industry is significant as well, but we have to kind of balance these two things off against each other.
And so how is your solution solving that problem?
The big challenge of these more sophisticated modern systems is that everything is connected to everything else, and the weakest link of the whole system is the place where the attacker will succeed and get in. And we try and change that algebra around by saying we're going to use blockchain. And what blockchain does is that all of the components will cooperate with each other, and they will lock out a misbehaving component. So they actually have to agree amongst themselves before allowing changes to the system or allowing user access or those kind of things. So instead of having the weakest link being the problem, what happens is you add more and more components, and the system actually gets stronger and stronger as you go along.
So what actually happens though when you update the technology or update the actual platform itself? What kind of security measures or tools are you adding to it?
What we're able to do with the blockchain is to calculate the characteristics of all of the components that are out there centrally in a safe place, and then spread those fingerprints out across the rest of the system. And the big advantage of that is the blockchain is a tamper-proof replication mechanism. So if the fingerprint of a controller in the field, for instance, turns out to be different to what we've calculated centrally, then that controller can be protected and locked out and reset until it's safe again.
And I'm curious though, what will it take to adopt this kind of technology compared to, say, a legacy service or security measure?
It's very variable. It depends on the particular industrial setup that you have. But one of the things we've done is to design the system so that the devices and the people can log in and can authenticate without having to change the software on all of these legacy controllers and industrial devices. What that allows is the Xage solution to be deployed almost as an overlay or protective fabric on top of the existing industrial operations.